All right, we're diving straight in today with some breaking news that just dropped.
Yeah, this is a big one.
4 U.S. soldiers have died during a training exercise in Lithuania.
And it sounds like details are still coming in right now.
Yeah, we're working with what we got straight from NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte.
He's the one that announced it.
Yeah, he's actually in Warsaw right now. And
Right.
he himself even said it's, early news, but his thoughts are with the families, of course, and the U.S.
For sure. For sure. It's, it really hits you when it comes from the Secretary General like that.
Yeah.
Even with, we don't have all the details yet.
Right.
But for him to address it on an official trip like this,
Exactly.
that tells you NATO is taking this seriously.
Absolutely. And speaking of serious, the where of this is also crucial.
The location.
Yeah, this wasn't just any training ground. This is the General Silvestras Žukauskas training ground
Wow. Okay.
near Pabrade, Lithuania. And this is the part that really kind of gets you thinking. It's less than 10 kilometers from the border with Belarus.
Oh, wow.
And this is according to Lithuanian public broadcaster LRT.
So, right there, you start to think about the neighborhood,
Exactly.
all the bigger picture stuff.
Yeah, the geopolitical context is just like right there.
Right, because Belarus obviously has close ties with Russia. So even though we're hearing this was a scheduled exercise,
Yeah,
that proximity just adds a whole other layer of complexity to this.
it does. And we know from U.S. Army, Europe, and Africa public affairs, they put out a statement these soldiers were doing scheduled tactical training when this happened.
Okay.
The initial reports were that the service members and a vehicle had gone missing on Tuesday afternoon.
So when you hear tactical training and a vehicle's involved so close to a border, what does that kind of make you think of?
Right. What are we actually talking about activity-wise?
Well, tactical training in the military, that usually means exercises that are simulating real-world scenarios. But at a small unit level,
Right.
and then when you throw in a vehicle that suggests maybe maneuvers were involved, and in a border region like that, you have to think they'd be operating with, a heightened awareness of everything around them.
Yeah, you're not just in a classroom doing drills on a board.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even if this was an accident, the loss of personnel is going to raise a lot of questions about how things were being done.
And just to kind of zoom out a bit for everyone listening, Lithuania along with Latvia and Estonia,
The Baltic states.
yes, they're all NATO members, but they've had a historically, let's just say complex relationship with Russia
They have.
ever since they got their independence back from the Soviet Union in 1990.
Right. And that's a key point
Yeah.
because their history and where they are geographically, it all feeds into their security concerns today.
Right.
And then, of course, when Russia went and invaded Ukraine in 2022,
Yeah,
that just poured gasoline on the fire.
it did. It absolutely ramped up tensions. And I
Yeah.
think, President Gitanas Nausėda of Lithuania, he's been a very vocal supporter of Kyiv,
Oh, yeah.
against Moscow. So this whole region, it's already kind of a focal point within NATO.
Yeah. And what's really fascinating to me is how you have this routine military training happening in the middle of all of this.
Yeah,
Because these exercises are crucial for readiness.
of course.
But they're taking place in this really sensitive area where things are already so tense.
That's a delicate balance, for
Yeah.
sure. So just to kind of bring it all together for everyone listening, 4 U.S. soldiers have died during what we understand to be a scheduled tactical training exercise in Lithuania.
Tragic.
Yeah. And the location of that training, so close to the Belarusian border, you can't ignore the geopolitical implications,
Yeah.
even though we're still waiting for more specifics on what happened.
Absolutely. And I think this is where we all have to pause and think about the inherent risks involved with military training, especially in regions like this. Places that are strategically vital and close to potential conflict zones.
Yeah.
How do we make sure that we're ready without putting our people in unnecessary danger?
Right. How do you balance that readiness with safety in such a fluid environment, and especially right now in Eastern Europe?
It's a tough question.
It is a tough question, and it's one that I think we're all going to be grappling with as more details come out.
For sure.
So thank you for listening to this deep dive. We'll, of course, keep you updated as the story develops.
Well.